My name is Elsie, and I'm 58 years old. For the past 12 years, I've been both mother and father to my son Marcus, ever since my husband died in a car accident. I raised him alone, working double shifts as a nurse so he could go to college. I thought we were close. I thought I'd be part of every important moment in his life. But when I asked about his wedding plans last Saturday afternoon, my daughter-in-law looked me straight in the eye and said something that shattered my heart into 1,000 pieces. Before I continue, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what my son's new wife said to me that afternoon cut deeper than any wound I'd ever felt. I've lived in the same small house in Columbus, Ohio for 25 years now. My husband Robert and I bought it when Marcus was just a baby, dreaming of filling it with memories. We did fill it with memories, just not the way we planned. Robert died when Marcus was 19, just starting his sophomore year at Ohio State. A drunk driver ran a red light on a Tuesday evening. One moment I had a husband, the next I was planning a funeral. After Robert died, everything fell on my shoulders. I was working as a nurse at Columbus General Hospital, had been for about 20 years at that point. The hospital became my second home. I picked up every overtime shift I could get. Night shifts, weekends, holidays. It didn't matter. Marcus needed tuition money, textbooks, living expenses. I wasn't going to let my husband's death destroy our son's future. Marcus was a good kid. He studied hard, majored in accounting, and graduated with honors. He got a job at a decent firm downtown, starting salary around $45,000 a year. Not great, but enough to start building a life. I was so proud of him. We stayed close through it all. Every Sunday he'd come home for dinner. We'd sit at the same kitchen table where he'd done his homework as a child, and we'd talk about everything. His work, his dreams, his life. He was my whole world. About 3 years ago, Marcus met Tiffany at some professional networking event. He came home that Sunday practically glowing. "Mom," he said, "I met someone. She's amazing, smart, beautiful, ambitious." I was happy for him. My boy was becoming a man finding love. Of course I wanted to meet her. The first meeting was at a casual restaurant downtown. I wore a simple blue dress, nothing fancy. I got there early, nervous as any mother meeting her son's girlfriend for the first time. When they walked in, I understood why Marcus was so smitten. Tiffany was stunning. Tall, perfectly styled blonde hair, designer clothes, makeup that looked professionally done. She worked as a sales manager for some cosmetics company. Everything about her screamed expensive. We sat down, ordered food. I tried to make conversation. "So, Tiffany, Marcus tells me you're in sales. That must be exciting." "Oh, it's fine," she said, barely looking up from her menu. "It pays the bills." I tried again. "Where are you from originally, California?" "The Bay Area. That's lovely. Do you get back there often?" "Not really. It's expensive to fly." Every question I asked got a short, cold answer. She never asked me anything about myself. Not about my work, my life, nothing. When I mentioned I'd been a nurse for over 30 years, she said, "Oh, that's nice," with the same tone you'd use commenting on the weather. Marcus didn't seem to notice. He was too busy looking at her like she hung the moon. I told myself to be patient. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe she'd warm up to me over time. But things only got worse. After they started dating seriously, Marcus came home less and less. Our weekly dinners became twice a month, then once a month. When he did come, he seemed distracted, checking his phone constantly. Tiffany never came with him. She was always too busy. Work event, girls' night, spa appointment, always something. About a year ago, they moved in together. They rented a one-bedroom apartment in the trendy downtown area. The rent was $1,200 a month, which I knew was a stretch on Marcus's salary. But he was excited. "This is the next step, Mom," he told me. "We're building a life together." 2 weeks after they moved in, Marcus called me. His voice sounded strained. "Mom, I hate to ask this, but could you help me out? We're a bit short on rent this month." My heart sank, but what was I supposed to say? "Of course, honey. How much do you need?" $500, just until next month. I'll pay you back." I transferred the money that afternoon. I'd been saving carefully over the years, putting aside what I could from each paycheck. I had about $20,000 saved up for emergencies and retirement. $500 was manageable. Next month came. Marcus didn't mention paying me back. Instead, he called again. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Can you help one more time? Things are tight. Tiffany had some unexpected expenses. I sent $600 that time. It became a pattern. Every month, like clockwork, I'd get a call from Marcus. Mom, can you help with rent? The thing was, I could see where the money was going. Tiffany's social media was public. I'd see photos of expensive dinners, new designer handbags, spa days, shopping trips. Meanwhile, my son was calling his mother begging for rent money. But I kept sending it. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I was helping my son. Deep down, I knew I was enabling something unhealthy, but he was my only child, the only family I had left. I couldn't say no. Then 6 months ago, Marcus called with news. Mom, we're engaged. I cried happy tears. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. Thanks, Mom. We're really excited. When's the wedding? Can I help plan? We're still figuring it out. I'll let you know. Weeks passed. I asked about the wedding several times. Marcus always gave vague answers. We're still planning. It's complicated. Tiffany's handling most of it. I tried calling Tiffany directly a few times, hoping maybe we could plan together, mother and daughter. She never answered, never called back. 3 months ago, I asked if they'd set a date yet. Marcus said, "Soon, Mom. I promise we'll tell you soon." 2 months ago, the same question, the same answer. Last month, I stopped asking. I didn't want to seem pushy. I figured they'd tell me when they were ready. I bought a beautiful gift anyway, a set of embroidered table linens I'd seen at a nice shop downtown. I wrapped it carefully, put it in my closet, waiting for the day I'd give it to them. All this time, the money kept going out. $500 here, $600 there. My savings account was down to $14,000. I was 58 years old, getting closer to retirement, watching my nest egg disappear. But he was my son. I kept telling myself that's what mothers do. They sacrifice. Last Saturday afternoon, I was sitting in my living room reading when my phone rang. Marcus's name appeared on the screen. My heart lifted. He hadn't called in 2 weeks. "Hey, honey, I miss you." "Hi, Mom. Hey, can I come over? I need to talk to you." Something in his voice made my stomach twist. Of course. When in about an hour, I'll be here. I hung up and immediately started cleaning the house, even though it was already clean. I made a pot roast, Marcus's favorite, with mashed potatoes and green beans. Maybe he was coming to finally tell me about the wedding. Maybe this time Tiffany would come too, and we could plan together like a real family. An hour later, Marcus pulled up in his car, alone. He came to the door looking nervous, his hands shoved in his pockets. I hugged him tight. He felt thinner. "Come in, honey. I made pot roast." "Thanks, Mom. It smells great." We sat at the kitchen table. I served him a plate. He picked at his food, not really eating. I watched him, worry building in my chest. "Marcus, what's wrong? You sounded worried on the phone." He looked up at me, then away. "Nothing's wrong, Mom. Actually, I have good news." My heart jumped. "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "Well, Tiffany and I got married." The words didn't make sense at first. "What? When I thought you were still planning the wedding. We got married yesterday. At the courthouse. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. Yesterday, why didn't you tell me? I would have been there. I wanted to be there. It was a last-minute decision, Mom. Very small. Just a few people." My hands started shaking. Who was there? Marcus looked down at his plate. Tiffany's parents, her sister, a couple of our friends. The room felt too small suddenly. "Not me. Not your own mother. Mom, please don't make this hard. Don't make this hard. I raised you alone after your father died. I worked myself to the bone so you could go to college. I've been helping you with rent for almost a year. And you got married without telling me. Tears were running down my face. I couldn't stop them. It wasn't about you," he said quietly. "Then what was it about Marcus? Why wasn't I invited?" Before he could answer, I heard the front door open. I hadn't even heard a car pull up. Tiffany walked in without knocking, like she owned the place. "Marcus, are you done yet? We need to go." Her voice was sharp, impatient. I stood up, wiping my tears. "Tiffany, congratulations on your wedding." She barely glanced at me. "Thanks. I wish I could have been there." She shrugged, checking her phone. "Oh, we got married yesterday. Only special people were invited." The words hit me like ice water. I stood there frozen, staring at her. Only special people. The message was crystal clear. I wasn't special. I wasn't wanted. I was nothing. Marcus turned red. "Tiffany, that's not appropriate." "What?" She looked genuinely confused. "It's true. We wanted an intimate ceremony with people who really matter to us." I found my voice, though it shook. "And I don't matter. I didn't say that. I'm just saying we had limited space and limited budget." Something snapped inside me. Limited budget. I've been giving you $500 or $600 every month for almost a year. That's over $6,000, Tiffany. Her face flushed red. "That's between Marcus and you. Don't bring that up now." "Why not?" "It's the truth. I've been helping support you both, and you couldn't even invite me to the wedding." Marcus stood up. "Mom, please. Please, what, Marcus? Please accept being disrespected. Please pretend this doesn't hurt." Tiffany rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic. Your mom needs to understand that we're adults now. We make our own decisions. I never said you weren't adults. I just wanted to be part of your special day. I'm your mother, Marcus." "Well, it's done now," Tiffany said coldly. "We can't change it." I looked at Marcus, waiting for him to defend me, waiting for him to tell his wife that what she said was cruel and unacceptable, but he just stood there looking at the floor. "Marcus, you're not going to say anything." He finally looked up. "Mom, I'm sorry. I really am. But what's done is done. That's all you have to say. After everything I've done for you." Tiffany jumped in again. "See, this is exactly why. You're too involved in his life. He needs to have his own life now. I never tried to control his life. I only wanted to support him." "Support? You mean you wanted to be at the center of everything? That's not fair." "Whatever. Marcus, we need to leave. I have a nail appointment at 4. Marcus grabbed his jacket. "Mom, I'll call you later." "Marcus, please, don't leave like this." "I have to. I'm sorry." He followed Tiffany out the door. I heard their car start, heard them drive away. I stood in my living room surrounded by the smell of pot roast that no one had eaten, and I cried. I cried harder than I had since Robert's funeral. I looked around at the photos on the walls. Marcus as a baby, Marcus on his first day of school, Marcus graduating from college, me standing beside him, both of us smiling. In every photo I was there. I'd always been there. But at his wedding, I was nothing. I wasn't even worth an invitation. Only special people were invited. The words played over and over in my head as I cleaned up the uneaten food, as I washed the dishes, as I went to bed that night and stared at the ceiling. The week after the wedding was the hardest week of my life since Robert died. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I'd go to work at the hospital, put on a professional face for my patients, then come home and cry. My coworker Dorothy noticed. Dorothy was 62, a nurse like me, and we'd worked together for 15 years. She'd become my closest friend. On Wednesday, she found me crying in the break room during lunch. "Elsie, honey, what's wrong?" I told her everything. About the wedding, about Tiffany's cruel words, about Marcus standing there saying nothing. Dorothy was furious. "That's terrible. How could he do that to you? I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my son. That woman is controlling him. You need to stand up for yourself. But I don't want to push him away more." Dorothy put her hand on mine. "Honey, you're already pushed away. You need to set boundaries." I didn't know what that meant. Boundaries with my own son. But Dorothy's words stuck with me. I tried calling Marcus several times that week. He didn't answer. Finally, on Friday, he sent a text. "Mom, I need some space. Talk to you soon." I stared at that text for an hour. Space. From his own mother. Because I dared to be hurt that I wasn't invited to his wedding. On Saturday, a week after that awful conversation, I was scrolling through Facebook when I saw it. Wedding photos. A mutual friend had been tagged and the album was public. I clicked on it, my hands shaking. There they were. Beautiful professional photos. Tiffany in a gorgeous white dress probably cost $1,000 or more. Marcus in a sharp suit. They were at the courthouse steps surrounded by smiling people. Tiffany's parents looking proud. Her sister holding a bouquet. Friends I didn't recognize. The caption made me feel sick. Married my best friend yesterday, surrounded by the people who matter most. Best day ever, I read it 3 times. The people who matter most. She couldn't have been clearer if she'd said it outright. I didn't matter. The comments were full of congratulations. Gorgeous couple. So happy for you. Best wishes. No one asked where the groom's mother was. Maybe they assumed I was behind the camera. Maybe Marcus had told them some lie about why I wasn't there. Or maybe no one cared enough to ask. I typed out a comment with shaking hands. Congratulations to you both. Love, Mom. I hit post and waited. Surely Marcus would respond. Surely he'd at least acknowledge me publicly. Hours passed. My comment sat there ignored. Tiffany didn't like it. Marcus didn't reply. It was like I was invisible. That night I lay in bed and made a decision. I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep pouring money into their life while being treated like I was worthless. Something had to change. On Monday I went to the bank. I looked at my savings account. $14,200. That's what was left of the $20,000 I'd worked so hard to save. Almost $6,000 had gone to Marcus and Tiffany over the past year. I asked the banker to help me cancel the automatic transfer I'd set up. Every month, $500 or $600 had been automatically sent to Marcus's account. I'd set it up because he'd asked so many times, and it was easier than him having to call and ask. The banker looked at the records. "Ma'am, you've been sending quite a bit. Are you sure you want to cancel?" "I'm sure." She clicked a few buttons. Done. No more automatic transfers. I walked out of that bank feeling strange, guilty, but also relieved, like I'd finally done something for myself. That afternoon, I got a package in the mail, the wedding gift I'd sent 2 weeks earlier, the beautiful table linens I'd carefully chosen and wrapped. They'd been returned to sender. No note, no explanation, just my own gift sent back to me like garbage. I sat on my porch holding that package and cried until I had no tears left. Dorothy came over that evening with wine and pizza. She found me still sitting on the porch, the returned package beside me. "They sent it back." I nodded, unable to speak. Dorothy sat down beside me. "You know what you have to do, right? I can't cut him off, Dorothy. He's my son. You're not cutting him off. You're setting boundaries. There's a difference." We sat there as the sun went down and Dorothy talked. She told me about her own daughter who'd gone through a phase of taking advantage of Dorothy's kindness. She told me how she'd finally said no and how it had actually saved their relationship in the long run. "Your son needs to learn that he can't treat you this way," Dorothy said, "and he'll never learn if you keep enabling it." The next month was strange. I kept expecting Marcus to call asking about the rent money, but he didn't. The 15th came and went. No call. The 20th passed. Still nothing. I used the $500 I would have sent him to sign up for a yoga class I'd been wanting to try. I bought 3 new books. I went out to dinner with Dorothy twice. Small things, but they felt huge. I was spending money on myself for the first time in years. I felt guilty about it at first, but Dorothy kept encouraging me. "You worked hard for that money, Elsie. You deserve to enjoy it." Marcus still hadn't called by the end of the month. I wondered if he'd even noticed the money hadn't come through. Maybe he had so much that my contribution didn't matter. That thought hurt, but I tried not to dwell on it. 2 weeks into the next month, I ran into Mrs. Patterson, my elderly neighbor. She was 70 years old and loved to gossip, though usually I avoided her. But that day she caught me getting my mail. "Elsie, dear, how's your son doing?" "He's fine, thank you." She leaned in conspiratorially. "My granddaughter lives in the same building as him, you know. She mentioned they've been having some troubles." My stomach dropped. "What kind of troubles?" "Oh, you know, money issues. She heard them arguing about rent. The landlord was at their door last week threatening eviction." I felt a pang of guilt followed immediately by anger. They were adults. They'd made it clear I wasn't important to them. "Why should I feel guilty? I'm sure they'll figure it out," I said firmly. Mrs. Patterson looked surprised at my tone, but I didn't care. I went inside and closed the door. That night, Marcus finally called. I saw his name on my phone, and my heart raced. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me was desperate to hear his voice. I answered. "Hello, Marcus." "Mom." His voice sounded strained. "Can we talk?" "Of course. We had to move. We couldn't afford the downtown apartment anymore." "I'm sorry to hear that. We found a smaller place across town, 1-bedroom, older building. The rent's cheaper, but it's a big change." "I see." He paused. "I thought you'd ask more questions." "What do you want me to say, Marcus?" "I don't know. You usually care about these things." "I do care. But you made it very clear that my involvement isn't wanted in your life." "Mom, that's not fair." "Isn't it?" You got married without me. Your wife sent back my wedding gift. You haven't visited in 3 months. You barely talk to me. But I'm supposed to feel sorry that you had to move to a cheaper apartment." He was silent for a long moment. "Things have been hard, Mom. Really hard. Then maybe you and Tiffany need to have a conversation about expenses and priorities." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I see her Instagram Marcus. I see the designer bags and the expensive dinners. If you're struggling with rent, maybe those things aren't priorities right now. You don't understand." "You're right. I don't understand how you can spend money you don't have while calling your mother for rent help. Is that what this is about?" "The money, no, Marcus. It's about respect. It's about being treated like I matter." Another long silence. "I miss you, Mom." Those words almost broke me. "I miss you too, honey. Can I come visit?" "Of course. You're always welcome here." "What about this weekend?" "That would be wonderful." We hung up and I sat there feeling hopeful for the first time in weeks. Maybe things would get better. Maybe this wake-up call was what he needed. But Saturday came and went. Marcus didn't show up. He didn't call to cancel. He just didn't come. On Sunday, I saw why. Tiffany had posted photos on Facebook. She and Marcus at some fancy brunch place downtown. The caption, "Treating ourselves because we deserve it." The food on that table probably cost $60 or $70. They couldn't afford rent, but they could afford that. I closed Facebook and didn't open it again for a week. 3 months after the wedding, I was working a shift at the hospital when my phone rang. I was on break, so I checked it. Tiffany's number. She'd never called me before. Ever. My hands shook as I answered. "Hello, Tiffany." Her voice was sharp, no greeting. "Elsie, where's the rent money?" I blinked. "Excuse me. The rent money. It's the 20th. You usually send it by the 15th. We're late on rent now." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I didn't realize you expected it." "What do you mean you've been sending it every month? We're counting on it. I was helping Marcus when he asked. But you two are married now. I thought maybe you'd manage on your own." "Manage on our own?" Her voice rose. "Elsie, Marcus doesn't make enough to cover everything. You know that. Then maybe you should cut back on expenses. That's not your business. Are you sending the money or not?" My spine straightened. "Tiffany, you didn't even thank me for the wedding gift. What does that have to do with rent?" "It has everything to do with respect. You excluded me from your wedding, told me I wasn't special enough to attend, sent back my gift, and now you're calling me demanding money." "Oh my God, are you seriously bringing that up again?" "Get over it. The wedding is done. I can't just get over being disrespected by my son's wife." "You're being dramatic. Look, we need the money. Can you send it today?" The word came out strong and clear. "No. What I said, no. I'm not sending any more money. Are you kidding me right now, Elsie? If you don't send the money, we'll get evicted. That's between you and Marcus. You're both adults, as you reminded me. This is unbelievable. You're punishing us because your feelings are hurt." "No, I'm setting boundaries. I'm done being treated like a bank that you can disrespect. Marcus is your son. How can you do this to him? How could he do what he did to me? He got married without me, hasn't visited in 3 months and barely talks to me. Because you're suffocating. You can't let go. Helping financially is suffocating. Yes, you use money to control him." The accusation stung, but I held firm. "That's not true. I gave freely because I love him." "Well, if you really love him, you'll send the money. Love doesn't mean being a doormat, Tiffany. I've learned that the hard way. So that's it. You're just cutting us off." "Yes, you both need to figure out your finances without me." "Fine. But don't expect Marcus to come crawling back to you. If he only comes back for money, then he's not really coming back at all. Whatever. You're going to regret this." She hung up. I sat there in the hospital break room, my hands trembling. Dorothy came in and found me. "What happened?" I told her about the call. She put her arm around me. "I'm proud of you. That took guts. I feel terrible. You did the right thing. That girl has some nerve. What if Marcus really needs help? He's a grown man with a job. He'll be fine." An hour later, Marcus called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Mom, what's going on?" "Tiffany said you refused to help with rent." "That's right. I'm not sending any more money." "Why not?" "We're going to be late. Marcus, you're 31 years old. You have a job. You should be able to pay your own rent. It's not that simple. Living expenses are high. Then move to a cheaper apartment or cut back on spending. Mom, please, Just this one more time. That's what you said 10 months ago. No, Marcus. This has to stop. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you got married without me and then expect me to keep funding your life. Those are two different things. No, they're connected. You treat me like I don't matter except when you need money. That's not true. Then when was the last time you visited me just to see me? Not to ask for money. Silence on the other end. I've been busy. Too busy for your mother, but not too busy to ask for $500 or $600 every month. Fine, we'll figure it out ourselves. He hung up. I sat there feeling a mix of relief and heartbreak. I'd finally stood up for myself, but it felt like I'd lost my son in the process. The first week after I stopped sending money was hard. I kept expecting Marcus to call, maybe to apologize, maybe to yell at me more, but my phone stayed silent. I went to the bank and confirmed the automatic transfer was canceled. The banker showed me the updated account, $14,200. It wasn't much for retirement, but it was mine. I'd earned it, and I was going to start using it for myself. I signed up for that yoga class, 3 times a week, $45 a month. I bought a beautiful journal and started writing down my thoughts every evening. I went to a bookstore and bought 5 new novels, didn't even look at the prices. Dorothy invited me to join her book club. I'd always said no before claiming I was too busy, but now I said yes. We met every other Wednesday at a local coffee shop. The women were all around my age, smart and funny. I laughed more in those 2 hours than I had in months. "You're glowing," Dorothy said one day. "I'm serious. You look happier. I feel happier. I feel like I can breathe. That's what freedom looks like." But the worry was always there, lurking in the back of my mind. What if Marcus really was struggling? What if I was being too harsh? 2 weeks after I stopped sending money, Mrs. Patterson caught me again. "Your son and his wife moved, you know." "I know. He told me. My granddaughter said there was quite a scene. The landlord was yelling about late rent. They had to pack up quick. Guilt stabbed through me, but I pushed it down. They made their choices." 3 weeks after my conversation with Tiffany, I checked Facebook again. I'd been avoiding it, but curiosity got the better of me. Tiffany had posted something new. It's sad when family members abandon you when you need them most. Some people only care about themselves. Grateful for my real family who always has my back. She hadn't tagged me, but it was obviously about me. The comments were full of support. "So sorry you're going through this. Family should be there for you. You deserve better." I felt sick reading it. She was making me out to be the villain. None of these people knew the truth. They didn't know about the wedding I wasn't invited to, the cruel words, the months of financial support without a single thank you. Dorothy saw it too. She called me immediately. "Don't you dare respond to that. I wasn't planning to." "Good. She's trying to manipulate you. She wants you to feel guilty and send money." "I know. I'm not falling for it." But it hurt. It hurt seeing people who didn't know me, didn't know the situation, judging me based on Tiffany's lies. That night I got an email from Tiffany. A long one. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. "Elsie, I don't know what your problem is, but you're destroying your relationship with Marcus. He's depressed because of you. We're barely making ends meet. You're selfish and controlling. A real mother would help her son no matter what. I guess we know where we stand with you. Don't expect to be part of our lives going forward." I read it twice, then closed my laptop. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. She'd made her position clear, and I'd made mine clear. Dorothy came over that evening with wine. We sat on my porch as the sun set. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay. Better than I thought I'd be." "Any word from Marcus?" "No. Just an email from Tiffany trying to make me feel guilty." "Of course she did. That's what manipulators do." "I know. But Dorothy, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm being too hard on them?" Dorothy took my hand. "Honey, you gave that boy everything. You worked yourself to the bone to put him through college. You sent them thousands of dollars. You asked for one thing in return, basic respect, and to be included in his wedding. They couldn't even give you that. You're not being too hard. You're finally valuing yourself." I started crying. "I just miss him. I know you do. And maybe someday he'll realize what he's lost. But until then, you have to take care of yourself." We sat there until the stars came out, and for the first time in months, I felt something like peace. 4 months after I stopped sending money, I was in my garden on a Sunday afternoon when a car pulled up. I looked up, shading my eyes from the sun. Marcus. He got out of the car slowly, like he wasn't sure he should be there. He looked different, thinner, tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. I stood up, pulling off my gardening gloves. Marcus. Hi, Mom. Can I come in? My heart was pounding. Of course. We went inside. I washed my hands while he stood awkwardly in the living room looking at the old family photos on the walls. I made coffee, my hands shaking slightly as I poured. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he'd told me about his wedding 4 months ago. Mom, I'm sorry. For everything. I wrapped my hands around my coffee mug. What happened? He took a deep breath. A lot. These past few months have been eye-opening. Tell me. He started talking. About how after they moved, things got worse. The new apartment was in a rougher neighborhood, smaller, older. Tiffany hated it. She complained constantly, but she wouldn't cut back on spending. I started working a second job, he said, freelance bookkeeping on weekends. I was working 7 days a week trying to keep us afloat. But it was never enough. She'd come home with shopping bags and say she deserved nice things. We'd be behind on rent and she'd book a spa day. Why didn't you say something I did? We fought constantly. She'd say it was your fault. If your mom helped, we wouldn't be in this mess. But Mom, I started seeing things clearly. She didn't love me. She loved what she thought I could provide. I reached across the table and took his hand. I'm sorry, honey. You have nothing to be sorry for. I should have invited you to the wedding. That was the biggest mistake of my life. Tears filled my eyes. Why didn't you? Tiffany said you'd make it about yourself, that you'd try to control everything. She convinced me that you were suffocating me, and I wanted to make her happy, so I believed her. Did you really believe that about me? He looked down at our joined hands. I don't know. Maybe part of me did. But I was wrong. You've never tried to control me. You've only ever supported me. When she called me not special, I felt like my heart broke. He started crying. I know. I was a coward. I should have defended you. You're my mother. You've given me everything. I didn't give you everything for recognition, Marcus. I did it because I love you. I know. And I took advantage of that. I let Tiffany treat you terribly, and I treated you terribly too. We sat there crying together, the coffee growing cold between us. Why are you here now, Marcus? Because I realized I was losing the most important person in my life. You raised me alone after Dad died. You worked yourself to exhaustion so I could go to college. You helped me when I was struggling, never once asking for anything in return. And I repaid you by excluding you from my wedding and treating you like an ATM. What about Tiffany? We're getting divorced. I wasn't surprised, but I still felt sad for him. I'm sorry your marriage didn't work out. Are you really? Yes. I never wanted it to fail. I just wanted respect. Tiffany doesn't understand respect. She thinks you're bitter and jealous. What do you think? I think you were right about everything. We were using you. I was using you. And when you finally stood up for yourself, I got angry instead of looking at my own behavior. Do you still love her? I loved who I thought she was. But that person doesn't exist. The real Tiffany only cares about money and status and what people think. Marriage is hard. It takes work from both people. She's not willing to work. She just wants things handed to her. And when they're not, she blames everyone else. Then you made the right choice. He looked up at me. Can we start over, Mom? Can you forgive me? I never stopped loving you, Marcus. Yes, I can forgive you. He came around the table and hugged me, really hugged me for the first time in months. We both cried. Can I come visit regularly again, like we used to? I'd love that. And Mom, I promise no, asking for money. I need to learn to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm proud of you for saying that. It's something I should have said a long time ago. We spent the rest of the afternoon together. I heated up leftover soup, and we ate lunch together. He helped me finish planting the spring vegetables in my garden. We talked about everything: his job, the divorce, his plans for the future. As the sun started to set, he hugged me goodbye. I'll see you next Sunday. I'll make pot roast. He smiled, really smiled for the first time that day. I'd like that. I watched him drive away, and for the first time in months, I felt hope. 6 months later, I was sitting on my porch in the early evening watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Life had changed so much since that awful day when Marcus told me about his secret wedding. Marcus had moved back home with me temporarily, just for 3 months while he saved money. It had been wonderful having him here. We'd fallen back into our old rhythm, cooking dinner together, watching movies, talking about our days. He paid rent, insisted on it, even though I told him it wasn't necessary. $200 a month, he said. It's not much, but it's something. The divorce had been finalized 2 months ago. It was surprisingly smooth since they didn't have any shared assets. Tiffany moved back to California to live with her parents. Marcus heard through mutual friends that she'd already started dating someone else, someone with money. He wasn't surprised or hurt, just relieved. Marcus had found his own apartment last month. Nothing fancy, a small one-bedroom place about 15 minutes from me. The rent was affordable, $750 a month. He'd furnished it simply with secondhand furniture and seemed genuinely happy with it. Every Sunday he came over for dinner. It was our tradition again, the one we'd had before Tiffany. This past Sunday we'd made homemade pizza together, laughing as we tried to toss the dough like professional chefs. As I sat on the porch that evening, I heard a car pull up. Marcus. He'd forgotten his jacket after Sunday dinner. He came up the steps smiling. "Hey, Mom, forgot this. I saw. I was going to bring it over this week." He sat down on the step beside me. "You got a minute? Always." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sunset. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you stop helping us? Was it really just about the wedding?" I thought about how to answer. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about respect. I realized I was allowing myself to be treated badly because I was afraid of losing you. You almost did lose me. I know, but sometimes loving someone means letting them face consequences. If I'd kept enabling you, you'd never have learned. You'd never have seen Tiffany for who she really was. You were right. I needed that wake-up call. Do you regret marrying her? I regret how it happened. I regret not inviting you. But I don't regret the lesson it taught me. I learned what I don't want in a partner. What do you want? Someone who respects family. Someone who's kind. Someone who doesn't measure people by their money or their clothes or their status. You'll find that person. I hope so. And when I do, I promise you'll meet them first, before I even think about getting serious. I laughed. I'd appreciate that. And Mom, when I do get married again, you'll be right there. Front row. No question. Tears filled my eyes. Thank you, honey. He hugged me. Thank you for not giving up on me. And thank you for loving me enough to say no when I needed to hear it. After he left, I sat on the porch as the stars came out. Dorothy called as she did most evenings now. "How are you doing?" "Good. Really good. Marcus just left." "How's he doing better?" "We're better. Our relationship is stronger than it's been in years. Because you set boundaries. You were right about that. I'm always right. When are you going to learn?" We laughed. I'd joined Dorothy on a weekend trip to the Smoky Mountains last month. We'd hiked, taken photos, stayed in a little bed and breakfast. I'd used some of my savings, the money I would have sent to Marcus, and I hadn't felt guilty about it at all. My savings account was back up to $15,000. I was putting away money every month again. Not a lot, but enough. I'd even started thinking about retirement, something I'd been too stressed to consider before. I'd continued with yoga class. I'd read every book my book club assigned. I'd started volunteering at a local literacy program teaching adults to read. My life felt full in a way it hadn't in years. I still had hard days. Days when I thought about that wedding I wasn't invited to, about those cruel words. Only special people were invited. But those days were getting fewer and farther between. Marcus and I had talked about it, really talked a few weeks ago. He'd asked what hurt me the most about everything that happened. It wasn't just being excluded, I'd told him. It was feeling like I only mattered when you needed something from me. Like I was valuable as a bank account, but not as a person, not as your mother. He'd cried. "I understand that now, and I'm so sorry." Forgiveness, I'd learned, wasn't a one-time thing. It was a choice I made every day, to move forward, to rebuild, to trust again. As I sat on my porch that evening, I thought about everything I'd learned, about love and boundaries and respect, about the difference between helping and enabling, about the courage it takes to say no to someone you love. I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, exhausted, taken for granted, afraid to stand up for herself, and I thought about who I was now, stronger, more confident, finally valuing myself. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Thanks for being the best mom. Love you." I smiled and typed back, "Love you too, honey." The sunset had faded to deep purple, now stars beginning to appear. I stood up, stretched, and went inside. Tomorrow was Monday, another shift at the hospital. But tonight I was at peace. They say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned that respect is thicker than both. You can love someone deeply and still refuse to let them hurt you. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your child isn't money or permission or unconditional acceptance of bad behavior. It's the courage to say no, because real love doesn't enable destructive patterns. It empowers growth. And sometimes the person you save by setting boundaries isn't them, it's yourself. I'd spent so many years putting everyone else first, sacrificing my own needs, my own dignity, my own peace. I'd thought that's what good mothers did, but I'd learned something crucial. You can't pour from an empty cup, and I'd been running on empty for so long. Now for the first time in years, my cup was full. Not overflowing, but full enough, full of self-respect, full of peace, full of genuine, healthy love for my son, the kind of love that says I want the best for you, but I won't destroy myself to give it to you. Marcus had learned too. He'd learned that real partnership isn't about finding someone who looks good on your arm or fits some image of success. It's about finding someone who values the people you love, who treats others with kindness, who measures worth by character instead of designer labels. I didn't know what the future held for either of us, but I knew that whatever came next, we'd face it differently. Stronger, wiser, more authentic. The house was quiet as I locked the door and turned off the porch light. In the morning, I'd wake up and go to work. I'd come home and maybe call Dorothy. Maybe I'd work in my garden. Maybe I'd read one of my new books. Simple pleasures, but they were mine. And on Sunday, Marcus would come over for dinner. We'd cook together, talk, laugh, build new memories to replace the painful ones. Not pretending the past didn't happen, but not letting it define our future either. I climbed into bed, tired, but content. As I drifted off to sleep, I realized something. I'd been so afraid of losing Marcus that I'd almost lost myself. But by finding the courage to value myself, I'd found him again. The real him, the son I'd raised. Not the man who'd been controlled by someone else's values, but the man who'd remembered his own. Tomorrow would come with its own challenges and joys. But tonight, I slept peacefully, because I'd learned the most important lesson of all, that love without respect isn't love at all. It's just obligation wearing love's mask. And I deserved more than that. We all do. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with someone you love? Have you experienced being excluded from an important event by family? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about family boundaries and finding your strength. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there realize that choosing yourself isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. Take care of yourselves and remember you teach people how to treat you. Make sure the lesson you're teaching is one you can live with.